Green tea is by far the most popular type of tea in Japan, but there are also some farmers here that produce black teas and oolong teas as well. In this video, we're going to taste a few different black teas and oolong teas from Japan and see how they're made. First, we begin our journey in Tokyo to check out a high-end tea shop that serves dozens of different green teas, but also a selection of black teas as well.
So this is black tea. Very smooth. What I realized a little bit about the Japanese is there's a strong caramel note always with the black tea from Japan. You know, my knowledge about black tea is very small, but often when you have like a black tea from other regions, there's much more sweetness into it. Here you often have this typical caramel note coming from the black tea. So this is what from my vast experience of Japanese black tea, I realized that they often have a nice note of caramel, but not too much sweetness otherwise to the tea.
Next, we head out west to Shizuoka, Japan's largest tea growing region, to meet a couple that produces a few great teas right in their backyard. Because this tea field is so close to their family home, they have to take very good care of it and make sure not to use pesticides or chemicals. So we're doing a tasting of two different teas. One is a hojicha, so this is a roasted green tea. And then the other is a kocha, and this is a Japanese black tea. So this is something that's a little bit rare, a little bit harder to find, but we found a farmer that grows the black tea here and like right in this town here, and then has it processed somewhere else. And I'm very impressed with this black tea. It's got a little bit of this apricot note that I get from some other black teas that I've had in the past, and there's a tiny bit of a dryness towards the end. The hojicha is very mellow, very smooth. I would say it's on the lighter scale. You can even see by the color, it's a light in its color. This is very nice. It's very smooth, and it's not too strong, not too smoky. But how are these teas actually made? We were fortunate enough to meet with a farmer in Takachiho in southern Japan that produces an assortment of unique teas. This area has become famous for its production of kamairacha, a pan-fired green tea with warmer tasting notes. Mr. Isen also produces an oolong tea and a black tea. To make these teas, he actually grows different tea plant varieties or cultivars.
So we're here at the tea field of the family Isen. And what we have here in this tea field is actually the Takachiho cultivar, which is the cultivar of the village. And this cultivar is rather a more bitter cultivar, as it is in winter time, or as it is a cultivar which grows really fast in the early spring. So sometimes the buds even get frozen, and it has more shibumi, so more bitterness, and the family uses it to produce oolong. Why oolong? Oolong, due to the slight fermentation of the tea gets softer and sweeter and more floral, and you bring down the bitterness in the tea leaves. That's why this tea here, this cultivar, is used for oolong tea.
Mr. Isen uses the Takachiho cultivar to produce his oolong tea, but he also uses a different cultivar, the Benefuki cultivar, to produce his black teas.
So here we have two different cultivars. One is the Samidori and one is the Benefuki. And Benefuki, you can see that it's on the one hand it's already brighter, and this one is more dark, meaning this one has more umami, so it has more theanine already as a beginning in the plant. And what is also interesting, when you touch the leaves, this one is much stiffer, and this one is really, really tender, so you can even fold it. So there's much more kind of a finer being in this leaf than with the Benefuki.
After the teas have been harvested, they are processed in a small facility right next to his house. After getting a small tour of the facility, we were able to learn the unique steps that go into producing each type of tea.
Here we are in the oolong part of the factory actually. So this is now the traditional way how to do oolong tea. So before oolong comes here, they put it outside on a big tissue and they just let it in the sun with a little bit between 10 minutes and 2 hours, depending on how strong they want to let it wither. And then it develops this floral taste or this floral smell. And then they put it in here in an inch time, and then they just roll the teas every 1 hour. They just turn it around, and this they do because you need to have the same taste and same smell of all the leaves, and by turning this, all the leaves getting the similar smell, so you have a really well-balanced oolong tea. Here we are at the black tea production, on the black tea production process. So when the tea leaves are harvested for the black tea production, they just put them in here. There is some air coming from below up, and they leave the leaves for 6 hours in here, and then they already start to oxidize a little bit. In the second step, the tea leaves are brought to the turning machine, where more of the moisture is also coming out of the tea leaves, and here they really start to get black. And in a third step, they will put them on this bamboo rounds, and on these here the leaves are again around 3 hours, and here they really starts to be black. So actually here you already got very, very strong black tea, but still a little bit of moisture in. So in the last part, they are then dried in this machine here, and they're dried twice. So the first time at 130 degrees Celsius, they just go through the oven, and then they take them out again, and they put them a second time in at 110 degrees, and then you have the final black tea.
As you can see, although Japan has become famous for its production of green teas, there are many other fantastic teas you can find here. We will soon have an oolong from this area available on the website, so everyone will get a chance to try this delicious and unique Japanese tea. What are some of your favorite oolong and black teas? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a message. Until then, we'll see you next time.